Good morning, everyone, and welcome to my English class. I'm Mrs. Hoffman, and today we're going to discuss the difference between denotation and connotation. Now, for some of you, that might sound like a new concept, but in fact, it's something that you use every single day, and I'm going to explain what they mean today. We're going to go through a few examples, and then I'm going to ask you to try your best to think of the denotative expressions and the connotative expressions of a few words. Right. Denotation, as explained by the Oxford Languages, is the explicit or direct meaning of a word. It's what we could expect to read if we open the dictionary. And that's how we're going to remember that. D for denotation and D for dictionary. So it is the simple explanation of a word. No additional meanings, implied meanings, feelings or associations, anything like that. It's just the simple definition of a word. However, connotation is what a word means, yes, but it's also all the things associated with it. It's feelings, the emotions, thoughts, ideas that come to mind when we hear a word. So it has implied meaning, more figurative expression, opposed to denotation, which is more of a simple definition of a word. A word can also have a positive, negative, or neutral connotation associated with it, and we'll go through a few examples in just a minute. Let's look at the example of the sun. So if we had to think of a simple, direct definition of the sun, we might have something along the lines of a star that provides light and heat to Earth. Simple. However, if we think of the connotation of sun, we think of all of these wonderful things, such as warmth, positivity, happiness. Perhaps we even think of our mood being lifted. Perhaps we think of beautiful things like flowers and growth and warmth, and even our facial expressions, a smile. Let's look at another example. Let's look at the word soldier. According to Oxford Languages, a denotation for soldier could be a person who is in an army and wears a uniform for an army, and a person who fights when there's war. But what comes to mind when we think of a soldier? We think of bravery, resilience, someone who is proud, and someone who might be fairly skilled. So that is the denotation and connotation of the word soldier. Now we're going to unpack how a word can have a neutral connotation, a positive, or a negative connotation. Let's look at the word affordable. If I say that something is affordable, we don't have any positive or negative feelings towards it. It's simply affordable. One can purchase it. But if I say that something's inexpensive, we start to feel something. We might feel happiness. We can purchase this. It's not too expensive. It's inexpensive. Okay? And the word cheap might have a few negative associations. We might think that if something's cheap, it might be made of inferior materials. It might not last long. So it's quite important to choose a word carefully depending on the sentence and the context and what we want our listener to think of. If we're referring to the price of something, would we use the word affordable, inexpensive, or cheap? Because they all have different connotations. Now I'm going to ask you to try your best to think of the denotation and the connotation for the following words. I'll give you a few minutes. Right, time is up. Let's hear what you have to say about the word home. What might be the denotation of the word home? A place where someone resides? Perhaps you can even address the fact that it is made out of certain building materials. It's a sturdy place. It's a place where someone lives. Fantastic. But for most of us, we will have a positive association, a positive connotation of the word home. We might think of comfort, security, warmth, happiness. For most of us, we will have that connotation, and it's okay for us to have different connotations of a word too. For some people, it might resemble something else. Let's think of the word family. Right, the denotative expression of family could be a group of people who are related. But if we think of connotations, most of us will also have a positive connotation to the word family. We will think of people who give us a sense of belonging, or people we can really trust or confide in, people whom we love. And the word child. Now, if we had to think of the denotation of the word child, we might think of someone who is under the legal age, or the son or daughter of a parent. But if we think of connotations, thoughts, feelings that are associated with the word child, we might have a few positive connotations, such as adventure, fun, innocence, exploration, and learning. Or we might think irresponsible, naive, or immature. So it all depends on the context. It might depend on the person. And it's also good to know that words have different connotations. If you have any other questions about connotation and denotation, please ask. Thank you.